I have a story to tell you guys, but I don't want to just tell you the story. I want to share with you everything that I learned because I want you to know what to do if this happens in your flock. Hello friends, welcome to Chickenlandia. My name is Dahlia. I'm a backyard chicken educator, also known as the president of Chickenlandia. Raising chickens has been the best way for me to find peace and joy in my life, and I want to help you find that too. That's loud, Zorro. I've got Ping here. Say hello, Ping. Little Ping is an Old English. She's an Old English Bantam. You're very cute, Ping. Where's your friend Pong? All right, I'll let you down. So many of you right now have chickens that are laying for their first spring. Oh, I remember those days. I remember when I got my first egg and I was so proud. I really felt like I had laid that egg. It is so great when your chickens are laying eggs and you're getting fresh eggs. That's just a great time. I love the spring when it comes to my backyard chickens. But there is something that can happen, especially during this time, if your chickens are laying for the first time or if they're just getting back into lay, and that thing is called egg binding. Egg binding, or being egg bound, is what happens when a chicken is having a hard time passing the egg. And that can happen to a chicken, it can happen to a duck, it can happen to a turkey, it can happen to a lizard, it can happen to a snake. Any animal that lays eggs can have a problem when it comes time to actually delivering the egg, and that could be for many reasons. With chickens, it can have to do with a lack of proper nutrition. It could have to do with illness. It could have to do with bad genetics. Or it could just be that the egg is so big that they're having a hard time passing it. So there's a lot of reasons why it could happen, but it's actually pretty common, especially in production breeds. One of the first clues that you might get that your chicken is egg bound is that she might be walking funny. She might be walking kind of with a wide stance like a penguin. She might be dragging her butt closer to the ground. That's pretty obvious, like when you see them walking like that something is wrong. They also might look like they're trying to pass something and they can't, like they look like they're constantly straining. So it's pretty obvious that something is wrong. Other times they don't really display that kind of behavior. They just don't look great. Like they might be puffed up, they might be droopy, and maybe they're standing in a corner or something. They just don't look well, and you can tell that they're sick, but you don't immediately know that it's because they can't pass the egg. Last week, here in Chickenlandia, I noticed something was going on with not one of my chickens, but actually one of my ducks, and her name is Mrs. Puff. You might remember her. She was one of the wives that I got for Mr. Robot. It was very cute. She was very close to Mr. Robot for a long time, and now she is one of Mork's little wives. Anyway, I was looking at Mrs. Puff and her belly was looking a little bit distended. She was walking a little bit more upright. She did not look comfortable. She was definitely like sitting a lot more than normal and just not being very active. So I picked her up and I checked her out, and originally what I thought was that she had what's called water belly, which is a pretty serious condition that chickens and ducks can get. So I was like bracing myself. I was like, okay, she's got an infection. These might be her last days. I was pretty upset. I actually had the opportunity to call the vet immediately. I'm gonna talk to you today about what happened at the vet, but I'm also gonna give you options for some things that you can do at home, because I really believe that, obviously not everybody can go to the vet, and people that can't go to the vet need to have options. So it's really important for me to offer that. So before I tell you exactly what happened with Mrs. Puff, I want to tell you that if you come upon a chicken or a duck or an ostrich or whatever bird that you have, and they do not look well, one of the first things you're going to want to do is check and see very gently if they might be egg bound. And the way that you do that is you just very, very gently just feel around their vent. And if you can feel an egg and that is accompanied by them not looking great, it is a good possibility, not 100% for sure, because we don't diagnose here in Chickenlandia, but it is a good possibility that your bird is egg bound. So I just want that to be one of the first things that you do if you find a chicken that is not doing well. Make sure you check around her vent and see if it's possible that she might be having this issue. Best case scenario, if you do think that your chicken is egg bound, is to take that chicken to a vet. And like I said before, I am going to give you some options if you can't do that, so don't click off yet. The reason why I say that's the best case scenario is because when a chicken or other bird is egg bound, that really is an emergency situation. And you just don't want that egg to be in there for very long. You want to do everything that you can, take all the steps that you can to get that egg out of their body. With Mrs. Puff, I got to the vet and I expected them to say she's got this horrible infection, but when the vet picked her up, he was like, I'm gonna do an x-ray. And he went and did the x-ray, and then he came and got me and he was like, I want you to come look at this. And he showed me this ginormous, for her, egg that was stuck in her oviduct, and it looked huge on the x-ray. I was like, oh my gosh. So I was very concerned, but he just told me what we're going to do is we're going to give her a calcium injection, and we're going to give her an oxytocin injection to just kind of relax everything and calm her down, and hopefully she will be able to pass this egg, but you need to leave her here overnight. Now, if she can't pass the egg, we will have to do like a type of surgery, and that would be he would deflate the egg. Obviously, it's much more dangerous, got a lot more chance of complications. So we were just like, fingers crossed, please, Mrs. Puff, lay this egg, please. If you have a chicken or duck that you suspect might be egg bound, then what I want you to do, number one, is do what is called the REST method. And that is something that is used in Chickenlandia. REST is an acronym. If you want to learn more about it and go into depth about it, I do have a video that will tell you all about it. I will leave that in the description. But very basically what it is you're going to remove that bird from your flock. You're going to put them in an area that is nice and warm, especially if they're egg bound. You want them to be kind of warm. You certainly don't want them to be cold or like super hot. You just want them to be in an area that is comfortable for them. Give them some scrambled egg. If they're egg bound, scramble up the egg with the shell so that they'll get the shell as well, okay? That'll give them a little bit of extra calcium. And then while you're getting them settled and getting them comfortable, run a nice warm bath for them. Now, if they are a chicken, you can put some Epsom salts in that bath, and you can put 1 drop of lavender essential oil. I'm talking about 1 drop. No more than that, okay? So don't come at me. Don't at me about the essential oils. It's just 1 drop of lavender oil to kind of relax them and get them into the mood for like relaxing and laying that egg. You want them to be in the bath for about 20 minutes. Hopefully that will be enough to help them to relax and lay the egg. Sometimes they'll lay the egg right in the bath. Other times they need to take a bath more than once, maybe a few times a day, as long as it's not like completely freaking them out, and dry them off really well before you put them in their nice, relaxing, warm spot again. And the other thing that you can do is you can take a little bit of Vaseline or a little bit of coconut oil, and you can put that around their vent, just so it will help to lubricate the area and hopefully help to get that egg out. If after 24 hours they have not laid the egg with what you were doing so far, then you need to take some additional steps. You can offer your chicken a calcium supplement that is made for birds. Usually it's easy to find one that's made for parrots, and just follow the dosing instructions that are on the box and give them that to hopefully get enough calcium in them and give them that boost so that they can lay that egg. The other thing that you can do if you are open to homeopathics, I am somebody that has used homeopathics a lot for almost, I don't know how long, 30 years. I'm almost 50. I started using them when I was 20. So yeah. So if you are open to that, a good homeopathic that you can give them, and you can just put it in their water, is called calc phos, and that is short for calcarea phosphoricum. Okay, maybe I'm pronouncing that wrong. That's a really good one to give them if they are egg bound. The other thing that you can do is you can give them something called bioplasma. It's from a company called Highlands. It has all 12 cell salts in them. It's homeopathic. Again, this is not medicine that is going to cause any harm, but it can help them. So what these are is they will help them to absorb the nutrients that's already in their body, and that will hopefully be the thing that will kind of get them over that hump so that they can lay that egg and move on with their lives. If your chicken has not laid the egg after 48 hours, that is definitely an emergency situation, especially if you can't get them to the vet. You know, a last resort would be for you to get hopefully a sterile glove, but at least like a clean, non-latex glove. Lubricate it really well with some coconut oil or some Vaseline, and you're actually going to reach into your bird's vent and try and very, very gently get that egg out. Now, this is absolutely your last resort because you can kill your bird this way. Like, it really can happen. And the other thing that can happen is you can break the egg inside the bird, and even if you feel like you've gotten all of it out, which if it does break, you know, you try and get everything out of their vent. But if anything is left over, and there's a high chance of that, it could get infected, and that infection could kill them. So that is really the last resort. But sometimes, you know, we just have to do what we have to do. And if that doesn't save your chicken, then I want you to remember what a great life you've given your chicken and take comfort in that. Because like I always say, your chicken had a better life than most chickens on earth. And that really does say something. So back to Mrs. Puff. First off, I want to say, like, everybody at the vet's office was in love with her because she's so cute. The vet's in love with her. All the staff was in love with her. So everybody was on her side. They were like, come on, Mrs. Puff, lay this egg. We know you can do it. But in the morning, they found her. She had laid her egg. She was being really loud. She was quacking. She was happy. She was eating. She was making a mess, all that stuff. So they called me and they were super happy. And then when I saw the egg, I was like, that's not that big. And the vet was like, well, it's pretty big considering how small she is. I hope she didn't hear me say that. Anyways, Mrs. Puff is back. You know, I brought her home. I set her down. I put her back with her husband, and she was so happy, and Mork was super happy, and peace was restored to Chickenlandia. So this was not the first time that I have had a bird that had to stay at the vet. In fact, I had my little Mr. Robot. He had to stay at the vet for, I think it was like 6 days. That was a really tough situation, and it's another thing that not only happens to ducks, but can happen to chickens, and it could happen in your flock. It's called fly strike, and it's awful. But if you want to know what to do, if you ever come in contact with it, it's on the screen right now. The video is on the screen right now. All you have to do is click it. It's 100% friendly backyard chickens education and entertainment, and I know you're gonna love it.